Hello once again, fellow chess players. We didn't quite finish the game against the Grandmaster last time, so here is the finish to that game, in which we're talking about, is a knight on the rim dim? Okay, so white, my opponent was Grandmaster Sergei Kudrin. He had just castled. So black in turn castles, because the center is about to open up and you don't want your king to be stranded or located on an open file. So castles is the proper thing to do in this case. Now white played rook e1. Now white's plan here is to play d4, so he's got to guard, has to guard the e pawn. So rook e1 makes sense. I play a6 because I don't want you to get my knight, force my knight back to where its original square. So now I plays here because he wants to stay out of. See, the bishop's kind of a target there, so that is a good move here. b5 is a normal move in the Roy Lopez for black. This is a good waiting move by Kudrin. Now we have a kind of a Zaitsev variation. Here we have a problem of where does the bishop go? Where should I develop the bishop? You can go here with the bishop. We can go here with the bishop. Computer likes bishop e6 to get rid of one of white's best pieces. Now I know a lot of you want to play bishop g4 pinning, but in fact this is a lemon, because this is exactly what white wants, because he's going to play here. Now to capture the knight, it's a big mistake, because then white has the two bishops. And if I go back here, he's actually going to go knight here, knight here, and the knight here, and force the bishop back into a bad square. And then once the bishop is back here, white can simply start attacking the bishop, and then he's going to get the two bishops. So the bishop would best, be best going backward. Now white has gained a free move, a tempo. So I hope that a lot of you didn't fall for bishop knight 5 pinning. That is not very good. But that's exactly what Kudrin was trying to tempt me to do. Okay, so now white gets a big pawn center going. And now black, if you capture the pawn, then he's got a nice center here. So that is probably not good for black. So I decided to play a5 here. d5. First of this move is now this pawn's isolated. I have to go back. Now see, this move is good because I want you to realize that knights do not have to always go to this square. Sometimes knights, and the same with black, you don't always go to this square, especially when that square is not available. But when you can go here with the knight, and that is often just as good of a square as to go to c6. But here I cannot go to c6. And in the Roy Lopez type positions, knight d2, knight c3 is very rarely played in the Roy Lopez. And this ends up being the best square for that knight. I captured here. And then this is where black gets the majority of his counterplay. Now when you're in the middle game, you have to always say, where is the critical zone? Where is the critical part of the board? And here it's happening right over on the queen side. Right now, this side, nothing's happening. So we're going to be playing, we're going to be developing our pieces on this side of the board, because that's where the action is. Pawn takes pawn. Now here you can capture with the bishop or with the knight. I captured with the knight. And now white sees that this pawn's hanging, so he has to protect this. But now the bishop's kind of dead on this diagonal. But now white sees it. This pawn's isolated and weak. So the rest of the play, at least for white, is going to revolve around trying to win that pawn by ganging up bishop d3 and queen e2. And so that's going to explain, you know, the rest of my moves pretty much. But guarding this pawn is going to be a real problem for black here. But let's see how I was able to guard that pawn. Now you're wondering, what am I doing going backwards like that? Well, I began to realize that my knight is better off on this square than it is on that square. So we begin maneuvering around. Now white is continuing with this plan of attacking this weak, isolated pawn. And I continue my plan of development. Now here we're gonna be connecting rooks. That means when the queen comes up here, the rooks are now together and connected. And black is trying to do exactly the same thing, connect rooks. And that is one of the goals when you're getting out of the opening. How can I connect my rooks? So now he's continuing with his plan regarding the pawn. He attacks it once, twice. So I'm defending it once with the queen and once with the bishop. So you cannot capture that pawn right now. Now we're starting to move the knight away from the center and to the side. Knight on the rim. So we've been discussing that rule, and it doesn't hold in every case. Here, the knight on the rim of the board is taking away from the king side, and this is later where I'm going to attack. So it's already moving to the wrong side of the board. Now here, knight on the rim. Now, you might be thinking, can I take, knight takes pawn? And then after you recapture, I take that. The problem with knight takes pawn is the knight moves in, and then after the queen moves, I simply capture your knight. So knight takes pawn doesn't work. So this is the best move. Now what have I accomplished by this? Okay. See, these light squares are weak now around the king, and if I get my bishop and my queen in there later, it's going to be terrific. So what I've done by this move is I've created weaknesses. So now I'm starting to move my pieces over to the king side. And this will create attacking chances. Now that knight is looking very funny, very strange over there, so I just retreat. Now this is kind of a weird move. I don't really understand rook a d1 that much. It doesn't really do anything. Here I'm simply guarding my pawn. As we're heading closer and closer to the time control, these are kind of waiting moves here. Now, I'm not sure what to do. I'm kind of meandering around, and the time control here is 30 and 90. 30 moves, we have to complete 30 moves in 1.5 hours. And so I'm already playing very quickly, but white has a lot of time on the clock. So let me tell you, in tournament chess, that's a big advantage. So he's guarding his knight. Meanwhile, I'm trying to drum up counterplay on the king side. So if he takes the pawn, bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, bishop takes pawn, wins. So we cannot take the pawn at this point. So he guards the pawn, I guard my knight, and now he starts doubling. If I ever allow knight c6, this game's going to be over. So I'm glad to make the time control, and now Kudrin started playing very quickly here. Rook c8, rook c8, and now we reach the time control, and Kudrin decides very quickly to grab this pawn, but it's actually a poisoned pawn. That actually loses according to the computer. And I spent over 30 minutes in this position, you know. What am I going to do? I'm a pawn down. But the surprising win is from knight f4. I didn't even see this. So I've been looking at this position for 35 years. And this is the value of computers. Pawn takes knight, and then this move. Since I'm threatening a deadly fork, you go here, knight takes pawn. You have to go here in order to guard the piece. And then, of course, this is what I missed. The queen is trapped. Isn't that beautiful? But only a computer could see a variation like that. Kudrin and I were both completely missed this tactical shot. But it does win the queen, that's for sure. So he played that move quickly, completely unaware of this knight f4 move. So anyway, I took the bishop, queen takes bishop, and now I play d5 to get active counterplay. Bishop takes pawn is considered the correct move by the computer. And now, rook check, takes, pawn takes pawn. And now Kudrin played this lemon very quickly, and it's a lemon because Sergei didn't see this powerful move. Queen is centralized, and this completely turns the tables according to the computer. So he goes here, and now I have to keep my attack going here. You know, this powerful move, he can't take the bishop because of the queen fork, so he has to go back. Now the computer gives this as best. Bishop g3, now knight f4, forking, has to capture. And now the computer considers this position about equal. But I prefer black because he's got the initiative. And he's got a big attack going. Turns out that this is probably not the best. Now this pawn's under attack. This is exclam because you're keeping the value of the pawn. If I exchange, the end game is always lost for black. So this is the correct move to keep the initiative going. Now I have to get the knight in. I see a big hole on f4, so I want to move the knight into this powerful forking square. So I'm now, by moving the knight, by moving the queen, I'm creating a fork. So he's got to do something about that. Okay, he moves away. Now the computer thinks this move is best. Now I'm in severe time trouble because I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a way out. So I'm the one that's in time trouble with only 3 minutes remaining for about 10 moves. Now he's trying to guard this hole, so I say, okay, give me that. Kudrin played this move quickly, and now this move wins. Here, Kudrin could not really find a way out, even with 20 minutes remaining, so his flag fell here, and I claimed to win. Thanks for watching.